guys, my name is Alexandra Tavares and this is my very first YouTube video. I love the arts, especially the arts of film. I don't just love films, I also enjoy talking about them. So I've created this YouTube channel where I will be reviewing movies, television shows, books, etc. And if you like me and you enjoy movies just as much as I do, welcome and subscribe. On this video, I will be showing you guys my list of films that I recommend you watch during this quarantine. Number one on my list is the movie Inception, produced by Christopher Nolan. Now this is my favorite film of all time. I highly recommend you watch this movie. This film uses the concept of dreams and how we define reality. The composition is a masterpiece by the very famous composer Hans Zimmer. For those of you who are familiar with Christopher Nolan's films, he's known for using very complex concepts in his movies. So this is a very complex film. So you'd have to really pay attention to the characters' dialogues to fully understand it. But yeah, this is my number one. Number two on my list is the film Fight Club, starring Edward Norton and Brad Pitt. For those of you who know a lot about films, this is a cult classic. It talks about social issues from the perspective of working class people, with a very interesting plot twist in the end. This is a film where the audience can really relate to the characters. It's a very interesting film. Next movie on my list is Avengers Assemble. Out of all the Marvel movies, this is by far my favorite. It's very well made. In my opinion, it's very well made. I think a lot of Marvel movies are very shallow and generic. But I think that Avengers Assemble is the most authentic out of all of them. It's a very good go-to movie if you just want to distract yourself with a good flick. Next movie on my list is the movie Sinister, starring Ethan Hawke. If you like horrors, then I highly recommend this for you. I personally don't watch a lot of horror movies. I find that a lot of horror films are very repetitive and they don't really scare me. But this is one of the exclusive ones for me. It's very well produced. I found it disturbing, to be honest. Next one is a Denzel Washington movie, American Gangster. It's based on a true story, I believe. If you're really into American gangster stories, then this is for you. Great performances. Of course, Denzel Washington never disappoints. It's very long, so you'd have to have good attention span to watch this. Definitely one of the greatest films I've ever watched. The next movie I recommend is the Batman Trilogy. This is another movie produced by Christopher Nolan and composed by Hans Zimmer. Christopher Nolan's directing and Hans Zimmer's composition make such a good combination. Honestly, when they work together, they create masterpieces. Christian Bale stars in this film as Batman. In my opinion, the best actor to play Batman was Christian Bale. There are 3 Batman movies by Christopher Nolan. First one is Batman Begins, the second one is Dark Knight, and the third one is The Dark Knight Rises. Next one on my list is Mad Max Fury Road. This film is based on a apocalyptic dystopian era. It has very good action. The action is very fast paced. The cinematography is phenomenal. The composition is awesome. I always talk about the music in films because music plays a very important part on the experience of the audiences watching the film. And this film does very well in that. Mad Max Fury Road was made in 2015 and it's one of 4 Mad Max films. The 3 original ones were made in the 1980s, starring Mel Gibson. 2015 one is its own standalone movie, so you don't really need to watch the originals to keep up with the story. Next movie on my list is Fury. Fury is a war film starring Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf and Grady Travis, based on the Second World War. What really stood out for me in this film was the actors' performances, especially Shia LaBeouf's. It was very real and very emotional. This film represents the patriotism and brotherhood of a group of men who sacrificed their lives fighting against Nazis. Next movie I recommend you guys watch is Joker. Joker was directed by Todd Phillips and it's starring Joaquin Phoenix. This film is based on the very popular comic book character that we all know as Joker. This film's purpose is to give a backstory on the Joker and what led him to become the criminal that we know him as. We come to learn that before he became a criminal, this man's life was very sad and tragic. It just gives a backstory on the man behind the suit and makeup. Next movie on my list is The Matrix Trilogy, starring Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne and Carrie-Anne Moss. This film dives into the mystery of what is reality and what isn't. This is one of those thought-provoking concepts, and it also uses very good special effects. This will definitely leave you questioning your own reality after watching. I also recommend you guys watch American History X, starring Edward Norton. This film touches on racism in society, but it specifically touches on the ongoing racial tensions in America, which is very relevant to the civil unrest that's going on right now. This is by far Edward Norton's best works. I also recommend that you guys watch Midnight Express. Midnight Express is a true story of an American man who is caught attempting to smuggle drugs from Turkey to America. He's caught and is sent to jail for 30 years in Turkish prison. And in this film, we follow his journey escaping prison. This film is very emotional, and I do consider it to be one of the greatest dramas I've ever watched. American Beauty, starring Kevin Spacey, is considered to be one of America's classics. And this film is about an average family man going through a life crisis. This film is a drama, and it's not your typical happy ending love story. This film ends in tragedy, and it's a very well written drama. Next movie on my list is the Transformers sequels, directed by Michael Bay. The Transformers films are a reboot of the original cartoon movies, and this series is about an ongoing war between humans and robot aliens. These sequels don't have any, thoughtful storylines or good character development, but I will say that this film does have good visuals and fantastic CGI. Next movie on my list is Interstellar, directed by Christopher Nolan, starring Matthew McConaughey and Anna Hathaway. Interstellar is based on a dystopian future where crops on Earth are dying, and we follow the journey of a group of astronauts who are sent on a journey to find another planet that can sustain human life. This is very good storytelling from Christopher Nolan, and it's actually approved by many scientists for being very scientifically accurate. I Am Legend, starring Will Smith, is a movie based on a zombie apocalypse. In this film, we follow the journey of Will Smith's character, who is a scientist, on finding a cure for the virus. And what's really special about this film is that we also see it from the perspective of the zombies, that they're not just monsters. Over the years, they've evolved to become self-aware and form emotional connections with one another, just like humans. Next movie on my list is The Town, starring and directed by Ben Affleck. The Town is about a group of gangsters who are on the run from the FBI after they committed a bank heist. We also follow the journey of Ben Affleck's character, who falls in love with a woman who was also a hostage during the heist. I find this film to be quite underrated because it's a very good work from Ben Affleck. 28 Days Later is a zombie movie based in England, starring Cillian Murphy. 28 Days Later was filmed in 2002, and it was one of the first to popularize zombies in pop culture. It inspired the very popular TV show The Walking Dead. This film was filmed with very cheaply made lens, And they most likely did this on purpose to really give off that raw, raw apocalyptic feel to it. And it worked very well. I really felt like I was witnessing a real zombie apocalypse. A lot of modern zombie stories are very generic and predictable. And watching 28 Days Later, I generally felt horrified by the zombies. The second to last film I recommend you guys watch is Goodfellas. Goodfellas was directed by the legend Martin Scorsese, and it features a brilliant cast. The three main ones are Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Henry Hill. Goodfellas is a classic American gangster movie. If you like gangster films, if this is your sort of thing, then I highly recommend this. This film is definitely one of the greatest pieces of cinema to ever be produced. Last but not least, movie I recommend you guys watch is Upgrade, starring Logan Marshall Green. This film is based on a cyberpunk civilization, and we follow a man's journey to seek revenge of his wife's murder, with a very shocking plot twist in the end. Now, I highly recommend you guys watch this film with a passion because it's extremely underrated. So there's my list of 20 films I recommend you guys watch while we are all bored and locked in inside our houses. I wrote down the list in the description. Enjoy them and thank you so much for watching.